Now you're ready to create the clicker I told you. So every time we click here, this value will increase. For this, I need to add an ID, button ID for the button, and I also need to select this number 0. For that, I'm going to use what is called a span. As I told you, this is like a divider, like a div, but for text. So I can select this number 0 or anything that is inside this span, and I'm going to say ID equal to span ID. It's better if you use the scripted names, like for example, you can say value and instead of button ID, add button. Okay, this is a best practice. Now, as I told you, we're going to add a document, add event listener of DOM content loaded, and when it loads, we're going to pass the clicker function. So we're going to define that function right here, function clicker, and console.log hello to check if it's working. Great, it's working. We can have our script tab before the HTML loads because it will wait up until it is completely loaded to run this function called clicker. The first thing we need to get is the button and add an event listener because we want to add the value when they click here. Okay, so I'm going to const HTML button is equal to document dot get element by ID, and the ID we said it was add button. Great, so I'm going to add it here, and we have the button. Now I'm going to add to the HTML button add event listener, and I'm going to add an event listener of the type click. We have a lot here, as I told you. Okay, when it changes, when it cancels, lots of them. In this case, it's going to be click, and the function is going to. I can say it here. I can say function. I don't need to add a name and do it here, or maybe do it outside. So say function add, and now instead of adding here the function, I'm going to say add. Okay, this is easier to read. Now, in the function add, we are going to, when they click here, every time they click, I need to get the value right here. So I'm going to say const HTML span. Remember, we select the HTML element, not the value. We need to get the HTML element to then get the value. So HTML span is equal to document get element by ID, and in this case, the ID is value. I'm going to console.log the HTML span, so we check everything is working, and now when I click, we have the span, and every time I click, we have the span. But we don't need the span, we need the span.text content. So every time I click, we have the text content, which is 0, and we need to add 1 to it. So I'm going to declare a new value, which is called value is equal to HTML span.text content, and I'm going to add 1. So this is the value I want to return. Okay, but the value is not being added, is not being replaced. So if I console.log the value, we can see we have 0, and every time we click is 1. Okay, now we have this 0 because remember, this text content is a string, okay? Because it's text. Every time JavaScript gets an element from the DOM, it's text. In fact, it says it here, text content. So we have to say number HTML span.text content plus 1. Now it says 1, but every time it says 1, but because every time it's getting the value 0 and it's adding 1 right here. But we need to replace the actual HTML span.text content equal to value. Now it will be added. So I click and we have 1. Now the next time I click, it will get 1 and it will add another 1. So it will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we have a working clicker. The great thing about this is that now we can add any functionality we want. And this is a challenge I dare you to make, but imagine, I'm going to say, okay, if the value is greater than 10, I'm also going to say HTML span.style.color is equal to red, for example. Okay, so now I do this, and when it's greater than 10, it changes to red. And we can do anything we want. That's the magic of JavaScript. Anything we can imagine of, we can make it right here, or we can even add HTML documents inside. Like maybe when, I don't know, when this happens, you can do many things. In fact, I dare you to try it yourself. Add different elements, make them disappear, make them appear, make any program you can imagine of, like a to-do list. With the knowledge you have, you can do even a basic to-do list. But now we're going to make a real program, which is a countdown. So let's do it.